Shovelware is actually fantastic, or at least it can be, and those bins of $1 games and forgotten thrift cartridges are wonderful experiences worth checking out, and so I did. I took a look at some sequels and some new titles to find the choicest of vibes, and a particular unassuming game really surprised me. We'll check that one out near the end, but right now I want to talk about the forgotten cousin of a DS classic. Bakugan, Defenders of the Core, completely abandons the game design of battle brawlers to fully commit to a third-person action brawler interspersed with stealth levels. Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe ever had the faintest flicker of a multiverse in its eye, Bakugan dived headfirst into the shallowest dimension-hopping pool it could find. Within the first 10 minutes of the game, your custom player is dropped into another dimension, where they are the only good guy who can do a Bakugan battle, thereby making you the most special boy in all the world. Dan and the other characters don't know who you are, but since you're the only good guy who can throw spheres, it's game on with the space tyrants. I enjoy having levels to scrounge through for collectibles between battles, as the lack of something to do other than battles was a weakness of the first game. The action gameplay is pretty good, especially with the limited button layout of the DS. It's not particularly deep, but it mirrors the new battle style of the anime while staying engaging, so I can't fault the designers for going with it. This game has some potent 4Kids localization vibes, which probably just made some of the people watching cringe and made others develop a mouth froth comparable to rabies. Listen to the title screen song. This is basically a litmus test for people who can hang with this game. Everyone essentially has amnesia, which means you get to win over all your favorite characters all over again. Except, of course, all of the girl characters from the original Battle Brawlers, who have been locked into the writer's no-no box, likely because some corporate executive decided that literally over half the world's population wasn't worth trying to market to. I know you're not supposed to try to please everyone when developing a product, but man, removing all the women from a series is not a smart or reasonable way to find an audience, and you still can't play as a girl. Despite all that, if you have a soft spot for mid-2000s toy battling franchises, this game isn't just going to scratch that itch, it's going to massage your deepest nostalgia-formed muscular knots. On the complete other end of the 2000s kids entertainment spectrum is High School Musical Making the Cut, which is one of the more clever subtitles I've seen for a video game. You both have to make the cut by winning musical tournaments and have to literally make the cut of the accompanying music video. I can't play any of the audio from this game because nearly all of it is MIDI covers of the High School Musical soundtrack overlaid with vocals. If I wasn't already on Disney's hit list, playing their music from a DS game from 2007 is the exact sort of offense that the Mouse Police would break into my house over. The actual gameplay is very similar to Osu or Elite Beat Agents, which is nice since the DS is one of the best suited systems for that design. There are a lot of little missing features and touches that make the experience as a rhythm game a bit subpar, but the timing is strict enough and the chart's busy enough that it's not a bad game by any means. Your reward for completing a level with a good grade is new costumes, although the real reward of this game is watching Troy Bolton violently collapse to the ground in the middle of a live performance every time you miss a note. One cool thing about this game's take on OSA-type maps is the instrument system, which gives you higher score multipliers for switching to more difficult sections of the map during a level. I love this idea in theory, although for the time I spent with the game, it never got difficult enough or placed enough pressure on my score to make picking the hardest one every time a difficult decision. The dancing on the top screen never matches the music in rhythm or tone, and that is a feature, not a bug. As for how it interacts with High School Musical as a license, the biggest strength here is the soundtrack. It elevates an otherwise mostly set-dressed experience into a direct tie to the original. This is the most, if you don't like the license, you probably won't like the game, case I have ever seen, which for this game is perfectly fine. Getting away from license into the strange stuff is Feel the Magic, aka Project Rub. A lot of shovelware games are minigame collections, but Feel the Magic is the most minigame collection a game can get. It commits to minigames with as much, if not more, focus as WarioWare, and in both games you play as a gross man. I could explain the game's plot in words, although that would be a major disservice to the massive amount of work they put into the art direction. Feel the Magic is all all about the vibes. Every color, shape, and audio cue in this video game is carefully selected to craft an experience on the same level of simple refinement as an Olympic pictograph. The color palette is vibrant and thematic. The character models are impressionistic and expressive. The minigames are fast and dripping with the Panda Express level of syrupy sauce. Each one engages with the specifics of the DS in such a way as to make it feel unique and natural. My favorites are the ones that use a microphone. Whoa, I'm so good at video games. Playing Feel the Magic is to allow yourself to enter into a trance of experience that melts directly into the space you play it in. Right as the hypnotist watch tilts to the exact degree that would place you into slumber, a crumb of backstory is index finger flicked directly onto your forehead with the exact timing of a meditation bell. What I'm saying is that this game has lore, and its pacing and structure is very, very good. Don't let the presence of a feminine-shaped silhouette wearing a bikini on the cover fool you. This game loves love a whole lot more than it engages with lust. If museums were a good place to play video games, Feel the Magic would belong in one. The gross man does a backflip when you pull a good stunt. Petz Rescue Ocean Patrol blew past its predecessor. Everything positive I could say about the original applies here, and all the things I took issue with in the original seem to have been addressed. I have to admit that I skim these games like the milk left at the store after a busy day. I don't get far enough into them to really figure out what they're all about, but I can definitely say that just from the first hour, this game is fantastic. It's the Ocean siblings yet again on an island, although this time they've been kidnapped along with their uncle, and they're just cool with it. I would be too if I woke up on a tropical island where my job was to take care of endangered sea animals. Rescue and rehabilitation are the name of the game here, or rescue is. You get sharks, manatees, turtles, and of course dolphins, which the game pays extra special attention to. Other animals are taken care of with little memorization or reaction minigames, but to take care of a dolphin, you have to dive in there. I love getting up close to these differently modeled species and having to pay attention to their condition in order to treat them. And you have to be really, really gentle sometimes, which is a great way to have difficulty while also building a connection between the virtual bottlenoses and the player. Every single NPC on this island loves wildlife with the same laser-pointed focus that they hate pollution with. Also, every adult NPC on the island is some form of hot, and between the main characters, they have a crush on all of them, except their uncle, because that's your job. Also the shopkeep, but he lives in my heart as a true bro. You do have to buy stuff in this game too, which is really interesting. I was under the impression that this game stays easy, but I got comments that hinted that later on, you do have to be fairly mindful of resource management, something to look forward to if you planned on spending a lot of time with this game. Why wouldn't you, between the marketingly improved and just laid-back vibey art direction, the chill tunes, and the wonderful playtime with adorable sea creatures? You can just dive into their tanks whenever. This is what first-person shooting control schemes were made for. I think with sequels like Ocean Patrol, you really gotta appreciate just how much further they can take a concept on a second pass. It's definitely different, but at the same time, the added experience and iteration is able to accomplish its own new set of cool things. Even with sequels like Bakugan Defenders of the Core, it's able to do cool stuff in a horizontal direction instead of moving forward with the last game, if that makes sense. Sometimes you gotta make a couple of the same thing before you really nail it, and that's okay. It doesn't make the old stuff bad or obsolete, but rather offers a whole new set of cool stuff to explore. Sequels don't always have to be the exact same. It's in the small differences that old fans can find new joy, and for newcomers, that same good stuff is hopefully gonna stay that way and let more people discover it than the original had just by being a standalone thing. Not everything needs sequels, but I think games specifically lend themselves really well to them. Back to something a bit smaller scale. Ninjatown, a tower defense game built around the word ninja. Everything is ninja. These chibi lumps are ninja. This building is ninja. Even the anti-ninja are still ninja in their subversion of ninja. Look at those eyes. Look at those stubs. They're the result of generations of kawaii desu inbreeding. These ninja are the equivalent of a Hello Kitty gene pool going full pit bull. You fight bad demons by punching them in an open field in broad daylight with your ninjas. It rules! The game knows that it's a massive oversimplification of so many elements folded over one another that it has basically become as much about ninjas as a McNugget is about chicken. Unlike McDonald's, Ninjatown does not feel corporate. It makes fun of its own absurdity at every opportunity and still commits to having good design while being self-aware. Also, you can literally blow your enemies away using the microphone. Nintendo consoles should bring back the microphone. Tower defense games are perfectly perfectly suited to casual pick-up and play style systems, so Ninjatown does a good thing by just existing on the DS. There's honestly not a lot to say about it because it just does a few things pretty well. On the other side of the ninja coin is LEGO Battles Ninjago. I received multiple comments telling me the original LEGO Battles was better, so in the spirit of this video series, I chose the one that people told me was worse. Honestly, LEGO Battles probably is better, but Ninjago isn't doing too bad either. It has full motion video cutscenes from the show, and the levels follow a loose retelling. The sprite work in this game is so dang cute that it nearly makes me wish for a parallel world where LEGO, properly entirely based around the third dimension, inexplicably went whole hog into pixel art. As for the actual gameplay, it's a top-down real-time strategy game where you control your units with the touchscreen and navigate your view with the D-pad. RTS games on the DS are a really good idea in general, but I've got to be honest, this section of the video is where I really want to talk about Lost Magic, since it uses an identical control scheme but does nearly everything this game does better, including being able to use monsters. Heck, there are multiple games on the DS that fit that exact description, but LEGO Ninjago Battles is the only one that has LEGO Ninjago, which is as precious to Zoomers as Bionicle was to Millennials. The RTS elements are done well enough, being able to build structures and manage currency, although I didn't get far enough in to see just how strategically complicated they can make a LEGO Ninjago game. It's doing exactly what it wants to do as well as it can, and I can't fault a game for that. I will be honest, I wasn't expecting very much from the next game. My Pet Shop is just such a simple, unassuming title. Not a bad title, but I don't know, I guess I just didn't expect very much. I was wrong to underestimate the power of this game. Never underestimate a game that promises you quality time with little guys. My jaw physically dropped when I first saw the character art in this game. It has all the simplicity and proportions of any great work of Sanrio-esque art. The illustrations in this game embrace artifice in a brilliantly contrasting way to the more realism-grounded animal designs. The pets in this game still have the simplified look of DS models though, so it all blends together perfectly. The central town has NPCs that you can chat to for hints and tips. The outskirts of town contain infinite plains and forests to search for pets. You obtain a pet by understanding their personality. You must be gentle and loving to these small creatures before they will trust you enough to be taken under your care. Soon enough, this small dog or cat will be named by you and then given away to someone else. You may also have a personal pet, but the bulk of the game is washing, training, and feeding these pets that are no longer your own. It's nearly melancholic, but still joyful. The menu you visit the most often is contextualized as asking your mom for advice. She loves you a lot and takes care of more work than you even realize. Your neighbors are nice and reasonable people. The town doesn't know what happened to all the pets that used to live here. Your dad keeps needing to extend his time away from you for work. My Pet Shop isn't gonna turn into some lore-driven horror game, but it will not hesitate to place elements that are slightly more real just to bring contrast to the otherwise glossy candy coating that is the rest of the game. As time goes on, you receive more tasks to do in a day and the same amount of time to complete them. You get stung by bees and have to put out a highly concerning amount of lit bomb fuses in the forest. You connect to your community through service, and you pet the dang dog. My Pet Shop isn't the only game that blew me away though. If you want to hear me talk about what happens when My Pet Shop meets sea creatures, or about the original Bakugan game that was a near exact port of the Wii version, check this video out. Have a good day.